So hi, hello, welcome. Um, Today or now, I'm going to be reading "Here the Whole Time" by Victor Martins. I will apologize in advance if I stutter a lot or go back on my words. Sometimes I start reading too quickly and miss stuff. I'm not used to reading in a recorder. You might hear me breathing, a bunch of stuff, and I'm apologizing in advance. But leave some feedback in the comments if you think there's something I could change, and enjoy. This is Before. I'm fat. I'm not chubby or husky or big boned. I'm heavy. I take up space, and people look at me funny on the street. I know there are plenty of people in this world who have much greater problems than I do here in Brazil, but I can't think about other people's suffering when I have my own issues to deal with at school. High school has been my own personal hell for the past 2.5 years. Sometimes I feel like the list of nicknames for fat people is endless. That isn't to say that this list is especially creative, but I'm always impressed with the sheer number of nicknames that the guys at school come up with, when it would be so much easier just to call me Felipe. Ever since I broke a chair in geography class at the beginning of the school year, people have swung wrecking ball when- whenever I pass them in the halls. 2 weeks after, another kid in my class broke his chair, but no one sings Miley Cyrus songs at him. You guess it's you guessed it. He's skinny. I've always been fat, and living in this body for 17 years has made me an expert at ignoring comments from others. Which isn't to say that I'm used to it. It's hard to get used to it when with daily reminders that you're a piece of demolition equipment. I've just gotten used to pretending that they're not talking about me. Last year, without telling anyone, I bought one of those teen magazines that come with boy band posters inside. I like boy bands, more than I have the courage to admit. But what made me buy it was the burst on the cover that said, "Insecure about your body? Get over it, girl." According to the magazine, an overweight teenager who wants to be cool and have friends to make up for their weight somehow. Basically, if you're really funny or super stylish or very likable, no one will notice that you're fat. I thought for a moment about how I compensated for it. I couldn't come up with anything. I mean, I consider myself a funny guy. People love me online, 543 Twitter followers and counting. But when I try to socialize in real life, I'm a big loser. I totally fail at the likability test. And my style? Haha. I define it as sneakers, jeans, and a reasonably clean gray t shirt. It's hard to have cool clothes when you're a size extra extra large. I flipped through the rest of the magazine, took the "Which celebrity would be your BFF" quiz. I got Taylor Swift, and threw it out. I didn't want to be reminded that I have nothing to offer. But today, everything will be different. It's the last day of school before winter break, the day I've been looking forward to since the school year started. Winter break lasts 22 days. 22 glorious days free of fat jokes, nicknames, and ugly looks. I jump out of bed early to make sure I'm on time for school, and when I get to the kitchen, my mom is already up. 3 years ago, my mom quit her job at an accounting firm to become an artist, and it's been 3 years since our kitchen last resembled a normal one, because there are canvases, paint, and clay everywhere. "Good morning, my angel," she says with a smile that should be impossible for someone who's been awake since 7 a.m. My mom is gorgeous, for real. She has big eyes, animated eyes, her hair is full and always tied up, and she's slim. Which means that before he walked out on us, when he found out my mom was pregnant with me, my father made it a point to leave me with the fat gene. "Thanks a lot, Dad." "Good morning. You have paint on your chin, but you look beautiful anyway," I say hurriedly as I grab a cheese sandwich and look for my keys. "Felipe, I'm not sure if I told you, but this afternoon—" "Sorry, can't talk, already late. See you later. Love you, bye," I answer, closing the door behind me. To be honest, I'm never running late, but my anxiety makes me believe that the sooner I get to school, the sooner I can get it over with, which, unfortunately, makes absolutely no sense. I press the elevator button 3 times more than I have to as I finish my sandwich, and when the door opens, there he is. Kaio, my neighbor from apartment 57. I swallow the dry piece of bread that's still in my mouth, rub my hand over my chin to make sure there's no crumbs left on my face, and step inside. I whisper a "Good morning" so low that even I can't hear it. He doesn't respond. He's wearing earbuds focusing on a book. I wonder if he's really listening to music while reading, or if he's the kind of guy who puts in earbuds so he won't be bothered. If option 2 is the right answer, I can't say I blame Kyle from apartment 57, because I do that too. The elevator takes about 40 seconds to go from the third floor, where I live, to the ground floor, but it feels like 40 years have passed by the time the doors open again. I just stand there, not knowing what to do, and Kyle walks out without even noticing that I was there. I wait 3 minutes in the hallway before leaving the building. The last day of classes dragged by. I only have to turn in a history paper and take a philosophy exam, and when I finish the test before everyone else, I'm desperate to get out of there. Already done, Butterball? I hear someone say as I get up awkwardly from my tiny desk. Miss Gomez, the teacher, collects my answer sheet and says, "Have a great vacation, Felipe." Looking deep into my eyes, it feels a look of compassion that says, "I know you can't take the other students picking on you anymore, but stand your ground. You're strong, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with being fat. I know it's inappropriate to say this because I'm your teacher and 56 years old, but you're quite the catch." Or maybe I'm not that good at interpreting sympathetic looks, and it's really her just wishing me a great vacation after all. When I get into the hallway, I see some girls saying goodbye to each other and, believe it or not, crying. As if winter break didn't only last 22 days, as if we didn't live in a small town where all you have to do is poke your head out the window and see half the school right there on the sidewalk, as if the internet didn't exist. If my life were a musical, now would be the moment I'd cross the school gates singing a song about freedom and people in the streets would dance in tightly synchronized choreography behind me. But life is not a musical. My life is not a musical. And when I walk through the gate, I hear someone yell, "Butterball!" I just lower my head and keep walking. My apartment building is so close to school. It's only a 15-minute walk, and I like to do it every day, so I have something to say when my doctor asks me if I exercise regularly. The only problem is all the sweating. After my obvious self-esteem issues, and my absolutely lovely classmates, I think sweat is the thing I hate most in life. By the time I get home, I'm melting like a wax figure. My mom is in the same spot as when I left her, except now there's a lot more paint stains on her clothes and her painting's almost done. Today, she painted a lot of blue circles. She's been in a blue phase for the past few months, that if you look at them from the right angle, appear to be two dolphins kissing, I think. Besides the usual mess, there are pans on the stove, and the apartment smells like lunch. Actual lunch. Lunch. Not yakisoba leftovers from last night's takeout. The idea of starting the break with a proper lunch excites me. "Hello, boys. How was school?" she asks without lifting her eyes from the painting. "Last time I checked, you only have one son, Mom." "Ah, I thought you'd come home together, you and Kaio from 57." She turns around and gives me a kiss on the forehead. I'm confused, but my mom doesn't seem to notice because she doesn't add anything else. I go to my room to put down my backpack, and I'm startled when I realize it's cleaned. My mom changed the sheets, organized my shelf, and picked up the crumpled socks from under the bed. "Mom, what did you do to my room? Where are all my socks?" I shout. "In the drawer. Imagine how embarrassing it would be if the neighbor's son came into your room to find 11 pairs of socks all over the place," she yells back. 11? Whoa, impressive. I go back to the kitchen so I won't have to scream. "What was that about the neighbor's son?" "I told you, didn't I? He's coming today. He's staying with us for 15 days. His parents are going to a conference on penguins or second honeymoon. Who knows? Anyway, Sandra asked me to keep an eye on Kyle while they're away. I was a little surprised because he's old enough to stay by himself, no? But it's not a big deal. He's a good kid." The more my mom talks, the more shocked I become. "You didn't tell me? I can't have a house guest right now, not during winter break, and for 15 days? I have plans." "Internet and binging Netflix?" She rolls her eyes. "Really big plans yet, Felipe?" She knows me well. But, but, doesn't he have any relatives? Can he stay by himself? You and his mom aren't even friends. What kind of person doesn't trust her own teenage son to stay home alone but trusts a complete stranger?" Well, no, we're not exactly friends, but we chat in the hallway sometimes. She always holds the elevator door for me, and uh, we talk a lot about you and Kaio played in the pool when you were younger. Good times those, but that's beside the point. Help me organize the kitchen and set the table. He'll be here any minute. I just stand there in disbelief. My face is sweaty, terrified, immobile, like a painting my mom would make on a bad day. You're probably thinking, calm down, dude, it's just the neighbor kid. Maybe it's time I told you about Kaio, the neighbor kid from apartment 57. Our apartment complex has a large recreation area with a tennis court that no one ever uses, because honestly, who plays tennis? A little playground that's falling apart, and a pool that's neither big nor small but is always crowded on hot days. When I was a kid, that pool was my very own private ocean. I spent hours swimming from one end to the other and recreating scenes from The Little Mermaid. It was in that pool that I met Kaio. I can't quite recall the day or how we started talking. We were pool buddies, and I can't remember what my childhood was like before that. If you're a fat 8-year-old boy, no one calls you Butterball. Everyone thinks you're cute, pinches your cheeks, and always makes it very clear how much they want to eat you up. In a sweet way. Weird, but still sweet. When I was 8, I didn't feel embarrassed about running around wearing nothing but a Speedo or jumping in the pool and splashing water everywhere. Because when you're 8, it's okay. And that's how Kaio and I became friends. We never went to the same school. Kaio goes to a private school on the other side of town. But when we were younger and it was a hot day, I knew all I had to do was go downstairs to the pool and Kaio would be there, ready to swim with me. Rainy days were the worst. We never talked. Kids don't really talk when they're at the pool. We would scream and dive and compete to see who could stay under the water longest. We didn't have time to talk because at any moment, Kaio's mom could stick her head out the window yelling his name, and the fun would be over just like that. His mom was always that type, the type who yells. Somewhere in the middle of all the fun and no talking, I had a day I'd never forgotten. I must have been around 11, and after almost an entire afternoon of playing sharks and pirates, I was the pirate, Kaio the shark. I suggested without an ounce of fear, "Do you want to play mermaids?" None of the other kids in the building knew that I loved to play mermaids. It was something that I did just for me. I was afraid of what the other boys might think of me if they found out that when I went underwater, in my head I was Ariel. And that deep at the bottom of the pool, I kept my imaginary collection of forks, mirrors, and thingamabobs. Kaio just smiled, crossed his legs to form a tail, and dove underwater. He didn't care to know how to play. He didn't say he'd only play if he could be a merman. He merely went along with the silly fantasy, and we swam like mermaids until dusk. It was the best day ever. After that, everything went by in a blur. As I grew up, the shame of wearing a Speedo in front of Kaio grew with me. I didn't quite understand what I felt exactly, but I know that when I was 12, I started wearing a shirt whenever I went around the pool. And after I turned 13, I never set foot in the pool again. At 13, my body began to change. Hair started growing everywhere, and I had this urge to kiss someone on the lips, and I wanted that first person to be Kaio. It was ridiculous how hard I'd fallen for Kaio, but he's way out of my league. It's like being in love with the lead singer of your favorite boy band. All you can do is watch from afar and dream. Now, do you understand my despair? Fat, gay, and in love with a boy who won't even acknowledge my good morning in the elevator? Everything could go wrong. Everything will go wrong. And I don't have the time to come up with an exit strategy because the doorbell is ringing and my mom is opening the door and I, of course, am covered in sweat. So it begins. Well, congratulations. You have made it through my probably terrible reading of Before, and go to my next video if you'd like to continue reading with me. Thanks. Bye.